On Tuesday, Gunna finally broke his silence by sharing an open letter to his followers, pleading his innocence against the racketeering charges he currently faces. In the letter, Gunna wrote, "For now, I don't have my freedom, but I am innocent. I am being falsely accused and will never stop fighting to clear my name. My art is not allowed to stand alone as entertainment. I'm not allowed that freedom as a black man in America. It is a sad reality that slavery is still alive in America today and still affecting my people. In 12 states, more than half of the prison population is black. One of those states is Georgia." Last month, Gunna was arrested with many of his lyrics appearing in the indictment against him. The use of lyrics to be used as criminal evidence has always been criticized because it's often used as a tactic that disproportionately targets black defendants. Today, we have our company hype analyst, Dominique, as well as Pierre, calling in to give their thoughts and reactions. Pierre, I want to go ahead and just start with you. After reading his open letter, what are your reactions and thoughts to it, and do you agree with him?
Well, I feel bad for any artist who's, trying to entertain and get in a situation, especially a young black male. But now he said disproportionately picked on black people. I don't know other music we're comparing it to. Country music we're comparing to, but a lot of, let's be honest with ourselves. A lot of rapping is about being real. It's one of the realest art forms. It's claimed to be real. Other art forms like movies or TVs, you know that Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan ain't no policemen and stuff like that. You know, Gina and Martin ain't go together. But when it comes to rap is about being real, especially someone like Gunna and Young Thug. They're talking about the streets. And they're talking about stuff that they, you say I'm moving weight. I got an AR-9. I shot up everybody in Cleveland Avenue and all this. Well, if you're faking it, why are you faking it? Why would you be faking that? Because rap is about being real. And if I would just advise them not to do that. If you're doing that stuff out there, cool. Now, if you're not doing anything and you're rapping about stuff and you're clear everything, then ain't nothing gonna happen to you. But if they find out that you are what you're saying, you are real, you got, sometimes it's gonna be what it's gonna be. I would just advise youngsters not to be rapping about that stuff if they're doing that stuff.
So let me ask you this, Pierre. If you were a juror, in cases like this, would lyrics be something that, persuades you one way or another?
Well, lyrics is one thing. I got to find the evidence. If you're talking about moving weight, I'm moving weight. And I go back and see the source that you have a lot of money and there's no way I'm finding how do you make this money? There's no way, you could have this money, just, how you making this money? Or you say, I shot somebody on Cleveland Avenue on March 3rd and somebody got shot on Cleveland Avenue on March 3rd. Well, why wouldn't I think it's you? And if that marries together, then I would believe you're keeping it 100. I believe he's a rapper who's keeping it 100. And I would think he'd be guilty of it. If he says he's doing it and he's doing it, why lie? Why lie about it?
Dominique, I want to come to you and get your thoughts on, after reading the open letter, and I know we only read a part of it here, but we were able to, read it in its totality. What are your thoughts and reactions to it? And do you agree with Gunna?
Well, I had to figure out who RICO was first, because I said, well, they should have a problem with him, right? You talking about the cop. Who RICO? You got some Puerto Rican nigga telling all your business? But then I found out RICO was abbreviation, so my bad, I'm old. Secondly, it's like, I have a problem with this term black art. Whenever somebody's up in trouble, all of a sudden it's black art that's being taken down. Black art is Nina Simone. You know what I'm saying? Black art is like, it doesn't even necessarily be the classics. It's, our black actors of quality, of training, a Viola Davis, a Denzel Washington, even in sports, if you want to say a LeBron James, that's arts, that's excellence. You talking about some shit you did on the way to the deli is a problem. Now, it's problems on both ends, right? If you did not do it, it's problematic because now you're influencing young kids who think you did do it. So now they're glorifying the nonsense. If you did do it, then you are the problem that you claim is being happening towards the black community. You are also a problem in it. So that's about as much as I'm gonna say about it, because I also hear these niggas like to kill people, you know what I'm saying? So I don't need them coming for me. I'm their auntie.
Right.
I don't want to have no gang beef, because a lot of these, you don't even know you don't know who these cats are. You know what I'm saying? Their cousins get an attitude. Oh, I heard some fat bitch on Cardi was running her mouth about something, and the next thing you know, I got RICO and Pico coming after me.
Hell no.
Let me ask this, and I think I want to ask both of you, because I think a lot of people have issues. So because of the First Amendment, courts typically look at music and literature as an artistic works. So, let's take this into the comedy space, and Pierre, I'll start with you. I think there are a lot of comedians that joke about, experiences that they haven't had and, things that they haven't done. So do you not find, that it seems to be a target here because, when you go and bring up artistic works, and it looks to be that the most cases that do come up, they are from Black artists, whether it's rappers or anybody else, and it's hardly done in any other space. So as a comedian, does that not concern you, being that, the First Amendment doesn't quite protect artistic works?
Rapping and comedy is different. I can make some outlandish thing that I'm joking about. You totally know it doesn't even make sense. It's outlandish, over the top, me joking of something. There's no reality in sometimes people's comedy. Some comedian might be like, you ever noticed my cousin was in the casket and he was he was at the funeral home and somebody owed him $50. He popped up and said, "Hey man, you still owe me my $15." He ain't know I died and popped up and did that. That's funny, ha ha ha. But in rap is supposed to be so real. You cannot fake the funk in rap. That's what it's kind of be, especially street rap or whatever you want to call this rap going out now. So that is different than comedy. Comedy, is being embellished. I mean, some of stuff is ridiculous. But if a guy says, "I'm moving 20 kilos a month," people move 20 kilos a month. If I got an AR-5, I'm shooting up my neighborhood. People shoot up their neighborhood. So yeah, that's the difference between comedians and rappers. If you're trying to compare those two together, it's totally different. Totally different to me.
I think it's entertainment. Not all rappers or every rapper, even, whether we go into R&B space,
sure,
actually do the things that they say in their songs. So I wasn't necessarily saying like they go hand in hand, but just sometimes for entertainment purposes, when the crowd that you're leaning towards, you kind of know what they like to listen to or what they like to hear or what jokes.
But Dominique hit it perfect. Dominique just hit it perfect. Why would you perpetuate that might hurt kids and influence kids to do that negativity if you're just joking about it? Why would you do that? Influence young kids to do that, move weight, whatever the case may be, have 4 or 5 girlfriends, shoot up some place. Why would you do that as a rapper? Like she said, you're going to influence some young kids.
So Dominique, I want to bring that same question to you because I do know an example, Cosby, he did have his jokes used against him in court, when he was going through his trial. So I think there is a little bit of comparison there, but just wanted to get your thoughts as a comedian to know that, the First Amendment doesn't quite cover in certain cases. It's kind of by a case by case.
Let's just be real for a second. It's very hard to be a Black person in the United States of America. We know that we are looked at disproportionately more, excessive jail time for us. All these things this young man was talking about are actually true in terms of the prison system, all these other things. So, because I'm gonna tell you something right now. Guess who lyrics they not listening to? Jack Harlow. But also, is Jack Harlow rapping about this stuff? So, we got to also take some of the blame. You understand? And who we let in our environment, and then we let people build from our environment. That's a whole other story for another thing. I'm about to get on a tangent, but I'm just saying. They're not looking at Jack Harlow's lyrics. They looking at Young Gunna and the rest of these dudes. Do they have any affiliation with gangs? Do you understand what I'm saying? When we go on stage as comedians, we go on solo dolo. We ain't in no gang. Maybe there's the Red Cup Boys, but they, Kevin Hart ain't out here banging. You know what I mean? So nobody's looking at us. But when I think about the responsibility that I start to take as I'm getting older and relating comedy and being older, because sometimes I think some of this stuff these young cats is getting into certain things that as an older person you wouldn't get into. I think there's things that I talk about on stage, and I always think, if I'm talking to women on stage, if I'm doing a joke about women or I'm doing a joke about humanity, I want people to connect with me in reality, right? So the job is like, let's make jokes, but also let's kind of problem solve. Let's have things like real thought. What real thought is there in talking about Black on Black crime, which we've already disproportionately has been processed as happening to us on our side? Why would you glorify these type of things? Why would you make money off of being a stereotype? And then when you get judged as a stereotype, then turn around and act like it's a problem that somebody judged you as a stereotype. But also, we know they don't do that to white artists. But also, if you know they ain't doing that to white artists and you're trying to get your paper, think about it. Some of it is on them too. You got to think.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a great point. I think Master P, in one of his interviews, he kind of talked about the same thing. He had to make a change. Like in the past, his lyrics may have added things, but now he understands there's a different responsibility. But to your point, Dominique, I do want to give the definition of RICO charges because I think a lot of people may not understand exactly what it is. So RICO stands for Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations. So this was originally created to go after mafias, but it is a federal law designed to combat organized crime in the United States. So with that being said, and you kind of hit on it right there, Yamanika, just a little bit with those facts, and I appreciate you for always bringing that. How much do you think racism plays, in this? When we're seeing these charges come up and used the way that they are, how much do you think racism actually plays in it?
Well, let me say this. I'm glad that you went through the definition of RICO, because I had my own definition of RICO, because I used to date a dude that was the definition of RICO, a real idiot conning others. Now, when we talk about racism, part of me as a Black person, as a Black woman, goes, yeah, I don't let these boys do and say what they want to do, because there's a lot of white boys out here saying and doing problematic stuff. Leave these guys alone. But I think for somebody to have this sort of insight as to the disproportional racism that Black people experience, why aren't you bright enough to say, let me leave a path for these young guys behind me that grew up in the hood like I did, that had these experiences, that we can talk about other things and we don't have to glorify. Because as much as people go, parents should be responsible for what children listen to, and we want to don't blame the artists. These kids are looking up to these artists. Every time I step outside my house, I'm running into some young kid with his pants low. I don't know. I'm looking at the dude like, this kid's 13 years old, but you don't know if these kids going to attack you, because they get hopped up and they get charged up on this music and these lyrics. And then as soon as somebody says something, it's because I'm Black. No, back in the day when we was in the 60s, not me, because I ain't that damn old, but in the 60s, with civil rights and stuff like that, when they was saying we being attacked for being Black, we talking about white people going into our communities, burning our communities down, killing our communities, disproportionately putting Black men in jail for nothing, hurting, raping Black women, our ancestors, all that stuff. That's what we mean. Don't lob all that stuff that our ancestors went through with you deciding you want to talk about some girl's guts you smashed out, why you killed an ex-boyfriend so that you can have her on some da-da-da-da-da. It's not the same. That is no freedom rally cry for me. Right.
Pierre, I want to bring you in and ask you the same question. How much do you think racism plays a part in their arrest?
Well, remember, RICO started with a mafia, okay? It wasn't for Black folks. They was going after them Italians, okay? So they went for them first, and they kind of, messed up the mafia is not the same as it used to be. So they opened that up. So I don't know if it's about racism. I don't know if this is about racism. Look, if this young man, Young Thug and Gunna, if they're not involved with that activity, they'll get exonerated. I believe that if it's not. But there was a reason why they're going after them. They're connecting, just the lyrics connected to some real stuff. Being real with you, there's a lot of, that's how, they don't just bring you in because you rapping about some drugs, because rappers been rapping about drugs and killing for the last 20-some years, 30 years in rap. It's not 40 years in rap. But this situation here, I believe they found some evidence that links some of the stuff that they said to stuff that happened. Well, all I'm saying is, brothers, you can rap about all that drugs if you want. That's what your thing is. Just don't be the one that did it, okay? If you're the one doing it, don't rap about it, man. Because when they come, they're coming. There's no excuse. I'm Black. No, man, cut that out, brother. Because they could have arrested a lot of people last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. They could have been arrested rappers for talking stuff. But I believe in this situation, they found some of the lyrics matched up with some real evidence. And when that happens, brother, that braggadocious shit get your ass locked up. So I'm saying, man, I'm hoping that ain't true for these young brothers. But if it is, that's what's going to happen, man. And for the next ones who are rapping about, I'm a realist nigga, I'm going to tell you who I killed and shot. All right, then. All right. I don't call it racism. It's stupidity.
What happened to Heavy D and them? What happened to Diddly D and all that stuff?
They died.
Remember, I know Heavy D died, but damn, did he take
the music
rap with him? Every time you turn around, it's somebody rapping about something. And what I don't, Pierre, you and I agree so much on this, but I'm gonna tell you one thing. I'm not going to take the racism part of it, because I do believe some of it's racist, but I also think common sense should be, if you know you're going to be tracked like that, why would you do that? And if you got the balls and the cojones to go out here and tell people that you did stuff and the evidence match up, then just go to jail like a man. Be like, I mean, because they rap hard into things. I did so and so and so and so. So when you go to court, go, I did so and so and so and so. It'll be a quick trial. They're going to cart your ass off to jail. And then you can be, you know, making top ramen in some prison cell.
Hell no.
You know what I mean?
Let me put this on the table, right? Because I want to ask you both, and Pierre, I'm going to start with you. How much do you think this will change hip hop? And I want to be honest because I understand exactly what you all are saying, but you know, whether it's games or movies or violent movies and violent games, like people want to hear that. Like, what will they rap about? You know, and don't get me wrong, I think there is so much more, but just curious to get your thoughts on it. You know, how much do you think this will change hip hop, being that, you know, for so long, that's kind of some of the things that's embedded in the hip hop culture?
Well, you know what's funny? I believe a lot of rappers have gotten away with rapping about stuff they've done for years. The real stuff, moving weight, cocaine, drugs, Jay-Z, all of them, they've been telling the truth, but they just haven't been arrested. So I guess racism that just started this week and shit when them boys got raised. You know, I guess the last 10 years, 20, 30 years ago, wasn't no racist. They weren't arresting people like that. Well, this might be a wake-up call, you know, for those who are here talking that shit, you know, because rap is about being real. You want to be so authentic, especially the kind of rap they're rapping. They want to say, I'm doing this in the streets. This is who I am. A young brother named Casanova just got in trouble for that, you know, out of New York. Kept talking about this shit. Well, this is what I do. Well, brother, the feds are listening, man. Are we that ignorant, that dumb? We like, I don't care. Is it that much that we want our friends to know and our enemies to know how real we are, that we can willing to let the feds hear about it and we really did it? It's going to come back. So I'm hoping that this incident here, hopefully some of these rappers be like, you know what? I ain't going to talk about what I'm doing. I might talk about what I seen, because if it comes to what you're doing and they match it up, because if you talk about that, they're coming to look for you. Young black rappers out there, young white, whatever, women and men, whatever you want to call it, however you want to look at it, the feds are listening to your lyrics. Let me tell you one more time. The feds are listening to your lyrics. And if you're willing to tell what you've done, then I don't want to hear when you get caught like, I'm just playing. I was just joking. No, sir.
Dominique, I want to ask you that same question. I know you talked about, you know, the impact that it has on the younger children. How much do you think this will change, you know, the hip hop industry, even though we have, you know, other avenues like violent games and violent movies, but specifically, you know, how do you think this will impact the hip hop industry?
In the words of the great Kendrick Lamar, we gonna be all right. Now, these niggas not gonna be all right, but we so, you know, and I said this before, I play Grand Theft Auto, I play Red Dead, I play Fortnite. I'm an adult. As an adult, because people go, oh, stop blaming the video games and all stuff. As an adult, when I first played GTA, I said the next morning I got up, I went to go to the grocery store. It was a cop car there. It took me a second to realize that I couldn't jump in that car and kick the cop out. Like, we got to be real about where we put our mind and our influence. As we get older, we have more of a control over our minds. When you are young children, you don't have that much. You're trying to figure out who you are. So I think it is problematic for young dudes that have other young dudes, young girls looking up to them. And these young kids are trying to figure out who they want to be, what styles they want to emulate. And you are talking about this, and then we're surprised when the crime rate is crazy in the inner city. We got to take some responsibility while going, we also understand that there's racism. Now, the other flip of it is, I'm sure none of us listen to country and western like that. I'm sure some country and western dude saying, I beat my dog, I shot my wife, or shot my wife and dog and beat my wife. Sure, they had a few Budweisers, a couple of White Claws. White niggas get crazy. They start beating everybody. I'm sure they rapping about that, or what are they, yodel hee-hoing about it. But we're not listening to it, right? And then also, they may do it in a more subtle way. I think sometimes these young kids get so braggadocious. The feds probably didn't even have to listen hard. I can guarantee you what happened. This is what happened. Because young white kids listen to hip hop. One of these young white kids, that's one of these federal agents' sons, was like rapping in the car one day on the way to soccer practice. He goes, what's all this noise? Oh yeah, I'm listening to this guy named Young Gunna. Young Gunna, yeah. And he talking about shooting this person and murdering. Yeah, isn't that hilarious? Yeah, it's real hilarious. Guess what? You're not gonna be listening to Young Gunna no more. That's how it works. These feds is not going straight to Virgin Records. Again, dating myself as an old person. They're not going to Virgin Records picking up an album. They're hearing it from the young kids and going, this is problematic. Once it starts to seep into the ears of young white kids and then they start to be affected by it, that's when they really gonna start pulling the music.
Now, speaking of changing the hip hop industry, Jay-Z is currently teaming up with Meek Mill, Big Sean, Fat Joe, Kelly Rowland, and other celebrity, urging state lawmakers to make the recently proposed bill titled Rap Music on Trial, S.7527, a state law. The legislation would limit the use of creative expression as evidence and push prosecutors to prove that such art isn't just fictional. As you mentioned, Pierre, it has to be with clear and convincing evidence. Since it was unveiled in November, they've successfully sailed through the Senate Codes Committee, and on Tuesday, marking it the first step towards getting a full vote on the Senate floor. So I think you both made great points. Go ahead, Yamanika.
I'll be damned. And I know the comment section is going to get crazy, and I'm a ramble, and I don't care. Let me tell you, I just want to make it known right now, Rico, Pico, and Lico, I don't give a damn about the comment sections, because here's what has to be said. We be talking about real shit, and then I be going, damn, if this don't sound like some crazy shit. 10 people were murdered in Tops grocery store in Buffalo a couple of weeks ago by white supremacists. We ain't heard no more about that. Ain't nobody pushing no laws about that. And then they pushing laws through so some young nigga can rap about some nonsense. We don't have our priorities together at all. I don't give a hot damn, to be honest. When people are talking about murdering other Black people, we don't have no respect for each other's lives, all kinds of stuff like that. And we getting involved with big name celebrities to push through. And let me tell you something, it's because white record owners make money off of niggas rapping about nonsense to their community. So now we can push all these laws forward. What happened to the white supremacists that killed these people up in Buffalo? What happened to when all these white supremacists do the neo-Nazis and just got 31 of them? What about, we still ain't heard about Dylan Roos. We haven't heard anything about all these Black people that are being killed, murdered by the police brutality going through the roof, white supremacists doing crazy shit, but we got all the time in the world to push through legislation to help some young kid make nonsense music. I'm not for it. I'm not for it.
Pierre, I wanted to get your reaction as well. To hearing that news, kind of seeing what's going forward, what are your thoughts and reactions to it?
Well, the white guy that shot the people in Buffalo, he was just charged with a hate crime. So it's hate crime now. It's not just so. You know, so they did do that. I've been following that. So he's been on that. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, man, just you know, each one teach one, man. At the end of the day, you know, if we sit there and listen to it and glorify and consume the music, the negative music, how much are we blaming the artists, man? It's a cycle, man. We need to stop supporting that. And I understand, you know, speaking of where you come from and the rough times and so forth, but if you're indicting yourself, that's all I'm saying. If you're indicting yourself on stuff on your lyrics, that's not cool, young brother and sister. Don't do that, man. That's why they coming. It ain't about racist and all this. If it is, whatever, why put yourself in that position, man? Stop putting yourself in a position and get caught in your racism. Don't put yourself in that position. That's, but you know, I'm a coon and I'm a clown. So what can I say?
You're not a coon and a clown, but let me say this. Let me say this, right? You're not a coon.
Let me tell you, hold on, I don't give a, I love the comments. I come for them. So I'm just being facetious about that. Shit.
But you know what? Let me tell you something. Then I also need to get in the comments because I told you to stop calling me "Hey Lady." But anyway, I'm saying. Let me say this. Sure, they put a charge on the cat in Buffalo because they got to, right? But you know what I mean. What I'm talking about is how involved are we in opening our mouth? It ain't a global thing. All that stuff about him, I saw the thing about the hate crime too. That was like a blurb to what's happening in major news. We should be very focused on that there are white supremacists out here on the rise out here and they targeting Black lives. So Black people, we damn near endangered species because not only do we have, you got to be worried about the Black guys in the hood taking your life indirectly or directly. Now you can't go to the grocery store without some white supremacists trying to kill you. That we got too much, it's too volatile right now being a Black person for us to be overlooking little simple nonsense.
Right.
I get it. We're going to get labeled old.
Absolutely.
All kinds of stuff, right? And
Absolutely, and I definitely appreciate you both for one chiming in on this one, but even
you wrap me up like a damn.
because I do think it's an important conversation. I think it's a conversation that a lot of people are having. I think you hit it right on the head, Pierre, when you say each one teach one. That's kind of the senses I've been seeing online when I see different artists talking about it. Like, hey, let's learn from this, let's work together, and let's move forward. So again, thank you both for chiming in on this topic. You heard from us, now we want it from you in the comments. What are your thoughts on Gunna's release of his statement? For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
Put those in them comments.
I'm gonna be in the comments too this week.
Do you know the comedy culture? Play Comedy Hype, the game. Out now.